and I am Maharaj's disciple. Today I'm here to introduce everybody to you. I will begin with the founder of ARTHA Forum. Many of you are here because you know him, Rajiv Srivastava. Rajiv is very successful in his entrepreneurial journey. He started APAR Infotech, built it, sold it, and he then went into the investing world. He now runs a private equity fund called Basil Technology Partners. They recently raised $700 million to give the company like rating agency. Rajiv, we are all here not because of his entrepreneurial journey alone, but also Rajiv contributes to society. His service to society, among those is this ARTHA Forum. So he brings together entrepreneurs and business people with the common purpose of earning with integrity and spending with compassion. So I would like to invite Rajiv to say a few words on the ARTHA Forum itself.
Thank you, Maharaj, so much for coming again. We have many people who had the fortune of listening to you and your wonderful presentation, which touched so many people's hearts. And now I still remember Parmanand Prabhu with a little bit of anxiety no more than a month ago when he saw that there were just some 4 or 5 registrations. And as he's a very focused entrepreneur, he was thinking of creating a backup and saying, look, just only 4 or 5 people are coming, then should we have some other program planned? And, we were confident that as soon as more and more people get the invite, they already have, a desire to come and take the association of Maharaj and listen to Maharaj and be connected to what he's going to share with us. And we then ended up with more than 77 registrations. We had to actually close the registration. So we are really thankful to all of you. It's a weekday, end of the week, but I know how busy office work can be. So thank you all for coming. I'll just very briefly share some updates on the ARTHA Forum as what we are seeing now. And I'll just share this with one example. There was one entrepreneur in Dallas, and just for I would say confidentiality, I'll not name him. So this entrepreneur is actually a Marwari businessman. Nothing wrong with Marwari business people. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who had this, Dev Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who's no more with us. He has, I'm sure some of you may remember, he's conducted many ARTHA Forum lectures. So he told this business person about 7-8 years back that what are you doing? So he said, I'm doing a jewelry business. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj gave him the essence of ARTHA Forum, and he just very sweetly asked him, why don't you make Krishna a partner in your business? Now, a businessman, he was, he's not, he wasn't coming to, he was coming for the first time. And so he said, why should I make Krishna a partner in my business? Normally, you make somebody a partner who puts money in the business or who adds some value to the business. So he just, asked that question. And somehow Bhakti Charu Maharaj, in his sweetness, told him that very soon you will find out. And this entrepreneur, he does these jewelry exhibitions. And I'm not saying philosophically we have Maharaj answer this part that we are not trying to say that when you try to do some service that, as Prabhuji mentioned, earn with integrity and spend with compassion. When you have a higher purpose to doing what you're doing, then somehow or the other, the same entrepreneur is working with much more drive, much more commitment. And, when he did the next exhibition, he somehow ended up in making 5 times the normal profits. And then he said, okay, Swamiji, I now understand why I should make purpose or giving back a part in my business. And, today, this same person who, his business has grown many-fold, not saying that is our philosophy, but, at least when people think this way, then there is a lot less anxiety because they are not just trying to build an enterprise, build a business only for themselves. They are always thinking of what I can do to give back in addition to what the business is able to give their family. And I'm seeing more and more youngsters who are looking at this principle. There's one other young person who has created a company which is a competitor to ChatGPT. Where Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, has listed his company as one of the 5 competitors to ChatGPT. And even when we shared some of the the lectures, Maharaj, that all of you have spoken at various ARTHA forum events, he felt inspired, saying that, look, my company is now valued at 250 million, and he owns 90% of it. But he felt inspired that I don't want to do it just for myself. Of course, he's such a young person, 27-year-old person, and he's also dedicated. He's now more excited to doing the same business with a higher purpose. There are many more who are thinking this way. I will not, some who may be in this room, but I will not name them. I don't want to embarrass them. But thankfully, when Maharaj tells us all how we can be in this world, but have a higher purpose to whatever we are doing, whether we are in the corporate world as professionals or we are entrepreneurs and business people. Whatever we do, can we do it in a way which is an offering to both the world as well as to our families. So thank you, Maharaj, again for coming, and everything that you say does enter people's hearts, and we just hope that we can follow what you're going to now share with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajan. It is my pleasure to introduce the amazing chief guest of today, His Holiness Bhagavat Swami Maharaj. Maharaj is a Vaishnava monk who is a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Maharaj travels in his capacity as a monk out of compassion throughout the US, in Asia, and he conducts seminars, and in forums like these, he shares transcendental Vedic wisdom. And many persons, thousands of persons around the world, including yours truly, has been touched by his wisdom and his words, and it molds our life. It makes our entrepreneurial and business journey so much better. So Maharaj, we are very grateful you are here and you have taken out time to share with us. I invite you to this join us.
I stand up, I can see everybody. Can I stand up? That way I can have eye contact with everybody. If you want, I'll sit down. Maybe you give me a high chair.
Most of us would be able to.
Okay, I'll sit down.
It is also my pleasure to introduce our convener, facilitator for the day, our dear Devaki Nandan Prabhu. Prabhu is known to most of you already. He is a practicing lawyer who has his own practice over the last 26 years in Singapore in civil and corporate law. He is the founding member of Gita Reading Society, and he is also a member of the governing body of ISKCON. The Vedic literatures are full of questions and answers. If any of you have read the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks the questions and Lord Krishna answers. So the same setup for the day. I invite all of you to engage. There will be a session where Devaki Nandan Prabhu will be asking the questions to Maharaj, followed by Q&A. You all can ask your own questions to Maharaj. So thank you for being here. Thanks especially to our two dignitaries of the day. Over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paramahansa Prabhu. And I want to warmly welcome everyone today. We started off this evening with very few seats being filled up, but I'm happy that all of you have managed to come. I know Friday evenings are typically a bit difficult. The jams are there, but you managed to come. There are a few seats in front here. So if participants want to come forward and you can turn your seats around, you don't have to face each other. You can just turn around and all of us can face Maharaj. In fact, the closer we get to a sadhu, the better it is for us. So let's come forward. And I think, that let's make that atmosphere more congenial. And you can all come forward. Come. Yes, let's get settled. My service today is to frame what we're going to speak. And today's topic, the theme for today, is actually something that we're all pursuing. It's actually the pursuit of happiness. So that's what we're going to be focusing today. And Maharaj has traveled the world, met people from various faiths, various backgrounds. He has gone through countries. He has experienced different cultures. And in doing so, he has a very wonderful perspective of what happiness is and how we can achieve happiness. All of us are searching for it. We have a saying that actually everybody in this world actually has the same objective in life. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be peaceful. And everyone wants to be satisfied. If someone comes up to us and tells us that my goal in life is to be dissatisfied, unhappy, and very disturbed, then something is obviously wrong with either him, her, or the situation. It's just a question of how we are trying to achieve it and what happiness actually means. The challenge of being happy is one thing. The challenge of staying happy is another. And so today, I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to put them forward to Maharaj. And I hope in asking these questions, we will all be illuminated with Maharaj's wisdom. And I'll try and do that for a while. And once I have a sense that we have enough on the plate, so to speak, I'm sure that would stimulate your thoughts on happiness. Because I think everyone here is keenly, aware that that is what we are looking for. And looking at everyone's faces, I also understand that it's also sometimes a challenge. So let's go on. Maharaj, thank you for coming to Singapore. Thank you for being with us today. My first question, I guess, is quite basic. It would be good if you could share with us your journey into spiritual life. And I'm sure that journey, Maharaj, must have included at some point a pursuit for happiness. It's a very broad area, but it would be nice if we could hear your journey in this. How did you come to become a Hare Krishna monk? Where did you begin? And so on.
There's a short version, medium version, and a long version. And knowing that you're all, I'm feeling a little awed by the assembly of very successful people coming here. And I'll also thank you, but I'll also sharing, I'm feeling a little like I'm in a very elevated assembly. So it's very nice to be with you all. To respond to the question on when is our cutoff time, because everybody's busy, including myself. What's our cutoff time? When are we supposed to close the curtain?
We could do this for half an hour and take 15 minutes of questions, 45 minutes.
Okay. So it's now 7:30, and we're going to move on at 8:15.
No,
8:30. Okay. Once upon a time, 56 years ago, I was a college kid. Before that, I was a little boy. And as a little boy, keeping it really short, I had questions. It's one of the questions I asked mom and dad is, we're told about heaven. What's it like there? What's the travel advertisement? What's the marketing program for? I didn't say marketing program. What's it like there? You're supposed to want to go there. What's it like there? And I got a pat on the head and no answer. I went to the priest, no answer. I was feeling, this doesn't seem right, but I wasn't getting answers, so I stopped asking externally. I got too busy being successful in the way you're supposed to be successful and without labeling, so I'm in college in a pre-med track, accepted to med school, and circumstances led me to asking the same questions. I went through the front door instead of the back door. It's a detail, but it's an important part of my story. My parents told me you're getting draft notices in the mail. Drafted 1A, conscription to go fight in Vietnam. 1960s. And I thought, war's dumb. This is double dumb to take a kid out of medical school and send him off to Vietnam. So I didn't answer. And then they got on my case and said, you gotta answer, you'll be put in jail. You gotta answer. I said, okay. I'll try to come up with an answer. The short story is the United States government has a policy that you can file as a conscientious objector. And so I got a form. The first question on the form, state the nature of your convictions such that you cannot take part in the armed forces of the United States of America. Piece of cake, right? I know you get A's in exams and Dean's List and all that stuff. So I started to answer the question, but I couldn't answer the question. I knew how to get an answer to get an A, but I didn't know what my own convictions were. It shook me. What? I'm successful, check all the boxes, but I don't know what my convictions are. Something wrong with that picture. And being unable to answer that question, all of a sudden 100 more questions came up on the screen. And I didn't have answers to those either. So I did a little timeout, internally a timeout from the path of being successful to the path of knowing who I am. And then by that inquisitiveness, doors that weren't there before all of a sudden opened. I mean, the doors were there and then they opened and I just walked through them. One example, because this is one part of the picture, is my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, was visiting colleges along with Allen Ginsberg. Some of you are older generation people, you may know who that means. Allen Ginsberg was a famous or infamous American poet that promoted LSD and stream of consciousness poetry. It was like a new genre of poetry. And the third is he liked India. And he particularly liked chanting. And he particularly liked Prabhupada because they liked chanting together. So the two of them were traveling to campuses, and one of them was the campus where I was visiting. And just hearing, so I didn't know I didn't know anything about anything, except I had questions that didn't get answers. And the door opened. I walked through the student union, and inside the Millard Fillmore room was a big crowd of people, and I wiggled my way through the crowd to see there was Prabhupada chanting. And Allen Ginsberg, I recognized Allen Ginsberg because he has hair all over the place, like Einstein, receding hairline, and big glasses, and so I knew him, at least by picture. And that hearing of Prabhupada's chanting, in retrospect, had a major transformational impact, just that sound vibration. So these are steps of my journey. So hearing the sound vibration of a pure devotee, I didn't know what that was or how important it was, but it was life-changing. And then things and things and things. Without, it's like the moment is very interesting, but Bhagavad Gita number 8, because I had been given 7 other copies and said I didn't understand it. Someone gave me number 8, that's Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, and it was easy to understand without all the, I was on a quest and I wanted answers, and I didn't want somebody else to tell me what I was rebellious kid. I want my answers. Answers that resonate. And so chanting, I was introduced to chanting. It had a more sustaining, spiritualizing effect than any other of the meditation processes. You probably teach your people to go to these retreats, some kind of meditation processes that help, and they help to reduce stress and bring one up in the mode of goodness and so forth and so on, make the mind more steady and peaceful. But the sustainability of the Hare, because I was chanting different mantras. The Hare Krishna mantra, it was just experimenting because I was at a science background and I wanted to have the experience of knowing who I am and what my deep down, not the cosmetic kind, but deep down kinds of convictions in life that, like, this speech we heard, when you have a purpose, you're more driven and more enthused. When you have Krishna as your partner, you have everything. So I wasn't thinking I'm a spiritual person. I was thinking, I want answers. I'm inquisitive. That's not from a jigyasa. I didn't know what was going on. That's what was going on. And then I had my little autobiography of making those questions come more in focus and more in focus and more in focus and more in focus. Inquisitiveness is how the journey started. And by that inquisitiveness plus the association of Srila Prabhupada, even briefly, just chanting Hare Krishna, and then because I walked out, I went on to something else. But my life changed. So then many things happened after that. I started making decisions that were in the direction of, I want to experience what a life of devotion is. I don't want to just read about it. I want to do a little immersion test. I want to jump in the pool and swim around. I want to open up the jar of honey and stick my finger in and taste it. And then rather than say this is the refractive index of honey. I wanted to taste it. And so I moved into an ashram for a while. And then after the ashram experience of about a year and a half, my thought process was, now do I want to go back and finish medical school? Because that issue was gone. And I thought, everything I'm doing I like, nothing about it I don't like. And yes, I could go back and become a doctor, but there's already lots of doctors, not so many people doing this. I'm sure in the course of my life, I'll meet people who are becoming doctors and I can help them become a conscious doctor. So here I am 50 years later. So that's a short version. Now, the theme of happiness is, it's the happiness of knowing who you are. And if you don't take the time to ask the question, you're not going to get the answer. You'll live another version of who you really aren't, but trying to be who you are by being who you aren't. And it's not comfortable. It doesn't work. You can do it. I was doing it. Lots of people do it. But the happiness, this is to get on the theme. The happiness is knowing who you are. I mean, then you can unpack that. What does that mean? It's not things it doesn't mean, but the things that it does mean. And to know who you are, you have this nice story with Bhakti Maharaj, the devotee in Texas. Make Krishna your partner. Because we're part of something much bigger than any one of us. And what's that something that's bigger than any one of us? And what's my connection with that? Which is the source of everything, is bigger than all of us put together. And that's happiness. Knowing who you are in relationship with the source from which everything comes. And not occasionally, but with fixed consciousness. Upon the supreme as a person, and that's my purpose of life, and that's happiness. There's lots of things that is not what happiness is. Other things. How's that?
That's good. I'm going to turn this
15 minutes.
on.
The sound system's great, it just has to be control system. That's the coordinated sound system.
It's not allowing me to turn this on.
Here, you can try.
Maharaj, thank you for that. From what you told me, or from what you shared with us, Maharaj, two things come to mind. The first, of course, is the idea that happiness needs to be experienced, because you mentioned something about immersion. Very often, many of us speak about it, and we make a lot of plans about it. But if we were to try to immerse ourselves into this experience, is it possible for us to do that in an environment which is a bit different from yours? You gave your life to a particular cause. You have continued in that path. But many of us, or all of us here, are not in that path, so to speak. We are working, we have our families, we have obligations, we have work, and we may even have ambitions. The question that many of us have is it going to be extremely difficult to immerse ourselves in this pursuit of happiness in the kind of environments that we live in as compared to yours?
Amen. Yeah, life has its challenges. And I chose a path that purposefully was less encumbrance, the better. There's still encumbrance, just like you have some experience in being in the governing body commission of the whole this kind of worldwide organization. You have a particular function, and gosh, but so the answer to your question is Gona Dharma. I'll pardon me, I'm going to make reference to Lord Brahma and his achieving before the universe was built. He achieved perfection by chanting a mantra. And then he expressed these beautiful prayers to Govinda about that which hasn't been built yet in the relationship of all things that he was going to build with Govinda. Everything is wonderful. And then at the end, he has a doubt, your doubt. Wait a minute. All these wonderful things that I have experienced, as soon as I get involved in starting to build the universe, my mind's going to get all cluttered up. And I'm going to lose it. So I don't want to lose it. So can you give me some advice? I'm paraphrasing, of course. Can you give me some advice how I can stay in touch with reality with a capital R while I'm involved in building a universe, which is more complex than anything anyone in this room is doing times 10. So the answer given is Gona Dharma. Gona means, in relation to gunas, that which is worldly, you join that which is worldly to that which is not worldly, or Shuddha, Vishuddha, transcendental connection with the Supreme. Join those temporary things with the transcendental connection with the Supreme. And then they become as purifying as the direct devotional activity, like you're living a life of sannyas, etc., etc. Or not just the ashram specific, but the consciousness focus specific. Then those things that are extraneous or of this world can become as purifying as the direct devotional activities are purifying. Now, does that have its challenges? Absolutely. And there's external and there's internal. The stronger ones are internal, because if the internal ones become more purified, the external ones you can manage. You can navigate your way through the external duality features of material existence if the internal is, if you have your compass fixed. Like a GPS. If you don't know what your destination is, your GPS can tell you where you are, but it won't tell you how to get to where you're going. But if you know where you're going, GPS will tell you both where you are and how to get to where you want to go. And even if you make a wrong turn or the bridge is out or something, it'll redirect you and you get back to the path of where you want to go. So back to the question, people that are busy with families and jobs and the obligations of this worldly things going on, and it's like distracting and makes the mind spin sometimes. So how do you stay focused in the midst of all that? It certainly is possible. But if the principles have to be clear, and the alignment of those principles with the purpose, the tattva brahma jigyasa, the purpose of life, is to connect with that which is the source of everything, knowing who you are all the way, and knowing what the Supreme is progressively as you get closer and closer. And is it possible? That yes. Some of you in the room are examples. You're setting, I mean, I don't know how you do what you do, David, honestly, besides everything. But it takes a purpose-driven life towards not something that's artificially created, but something that's with descending authority given to us on the silver platter, and please take it.
Thank you, Maharaj. ARTHA Forum has the word forum and it has the word ARTHA. ARTHA has different shades of meaning to it. But generally speaking, many members of ARTHA Forum whom we spend time with and speak with are well-to-do, at least from a material point of view. To some, it seems more probable that a certain amount of wealth is a great assurance to happiness. To some, they believe that the kingdom of God is inherited by those who are meek, humble, and poor. Is there a relationship, Maharaj, or would you like to comment on the relationship between wealth as we see it today and the pursuit of happiness? I have met personally people who come up to us and tell me that, frankly speaking, having a significant amount of money in the bank gets me past many difficulties in life, affords me much better happiness. But at the same time, I also have clients who have so much money, they frankly can't spend it for the rest of their lives, but they also have great moments of anxiety. You have traveled and you have met persons from all ages and stratas. What is your understanding from scriptures, and what is your advice to many of us here?
You got 2 hours. You're busy people. So I'll try to be concise. That's not one of my gifts, is being concise. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of, today is the Purnima. Most of you know, some of you are nodding, and I'm going to speak something about this Purnima, because it's very, very, 3 times, very special in the manner of Srimad Bhagavatam specifically. But Srimad Bhagavatam is replete with expressions that it's not having possessions that's the obstacle. It's the attachment and pride that comes from those possessions. It's the internal that's the obstacle. Just on the Ashtami day was Vamana's appearance day. Lord Vamana came to give special kindness to Bali Maharaj. He says, and there's a verse in chapter 8, Canto 8, chapter 26. Sometimes persons become too much enamored by the fruits of piety. What's the fruits of piety? Queen Kunti says with the fruits of piety. Janma, Aishvarya, Shruta, and Shri. The Aishvarya connect with the Artha conception. Yes. And some persons become too much attempting to be enjoyers of the fruits of their piety, so much so that it covers the innate bhakti that's within. So Vamana says to Bali and the assembly, sometimes I show my special favor. Sometimes, don't worry about it, it's only sometimes. And he takes away everything, like he did with Bali. Everything. Even his head. Put his foot on his head. What a benediction. But so, having wealth or not having wealth, when our founder Acharya demonstrated, having wealth, having no wealth, having all wealth, and having no attachment. In any case, what my Prabhupada button is flashing. What he went through to come to give Krishna Bhakti to the world, most human beings would not be able to. Rather than giving it, for example, time and again, and he had in his pocket, he had nothing, he had 14 rupees. And you can't exchange currency, rupees for dollars in America anyways. He had nothing. Without, we're going for 2 hours, and he was perfectly content. Why? Because he had a mission that was given to him twice by his spiritual master, and the means to fulfill the mission, both were in his heart, and that's what carried him forward. Then he had his 3rd heart attack, 2 heart attacks crossing the ocean, 1 in New York. And he was just fixed on his mission. And slowly, because his horoscope said he would be one of the wealthiest people in India. Krishna took everything from him. He cited that verse from Vamana to Bali, and then Krishna gave it back with as many hands as he took everything. Then he had more wealth than he would have had if he had continued being a businessman. Now, I'm not wishing that upon any one of you, but that's what happened with Prabhupada. And so the test of his happiness was having shelter. Isn't that shelter in desperation? Shelter was a purpose. It wasn't just to save him from going mad, it was his purpose of life. They got tested many, many, many times. And it is, as it is said, gold becomes pure through fire, and impurities are driven out by fire. So those who have had experiences of the fire of ordeal know what the fire of ordeal is like. And it gives the opportunity for your purpose to be purified. And if your purpose goes towards the supreme, then it's not whether you have or you don't have. Because I'll tell a little story. This is a Prabhupada story. And I'll stop. Promise. During the years before I became a sannyasi, during one period of time, I was a book distributor, brahmachari, Prabhu, little fellow. And I was with the Radha Damodar party. There was Kamal Krishna Maharaj, one of the most elevated persons in our movement at the time, had built a program with so many buses, 8 buses, traveling around America, distributing books like anything. So I was not in the bus party, I was in the airport party, and then we all went together to Mayapur to be with Prabhupada. So Prabhupada gave his personal darshan for the bus party devotees. The room was packed, little room, maybe 60 people hanging out the windows and like, so, and then Prabhupada came, it was 2 little rooms. He came from his personal room into the sitting room and sat down. Dramatically, Tamal Krishna Maharaj put a stack of $100 bills that were like that tall on the corner of the desk. He put it right in front of Prabhupada. And I was right behind the $100 bill pile, looking at Prabhupada. And I watched. His eyes didn't even go to that stack of bills. He wasn't like demonstrating his something or other. He was just, that was who he was. I was amazed. He didn't ask anything, he knew what it was. And at the end, he got up and he turned to his secretary and said, we're going to be printing such and such book, put this into the BBT fund to print such and such book. He was very conscious, but he was not attached. He wasn't being purchased by someone purchasing him by monetary donations, etc. He was just fixed. When he had nothing and he had everything. Fixed. So the kingdom of God is inherited, yes, by the meek, but the meek is not whether they have or don't have affluence. Because Prabhupada demonstrated in both directions. The real kingdom of God inheritance was because his heart, because his consciousness was very simple and pure. It is being attached to his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Prabhupada is everything for him. And it was as evident as something you could put in a glass of water and put a jewel in the glass of water, and you can see the jewel through the glass of water. It's transparent. That was who he was. That person inherits the kingdom of God, whether there's wealth or not. No, when wealth comes, how are you going to use it? Then what your purpose is. And if it's 50-50, or if it's whatever it is, even the 50 part, there's a purpose. That's the Gona Dharma message. That which is of this world is meant for one purpose. Such a person inherits the kingdom of God.
Actually, the last point that you brought up was the last question I wanted to ask you. So you covered it, Maharaj. I think we have a very good intersection. We've done half an hour of time with Maharaj. And I think this is the time when I would like to open up this discussion to the audience. I'm not sure how you're going to do this because when you turn on this mic, things go haywire. And I still hear an echo on this. So we need to work this out. I would invite, there we go. So I would really invite and welcome questions for Maharaj. Just get to the mic, be as clear as you can. And I'll off this mic so that I think when that is turned on, we will be okay. It just takes, is it on Prabhu at the moment? It's off. Still we're having the echo. Okay. It just takes the first person to start the ball rolling, right? So we haven't planted anyone to ask questions in case you're thinking we did that. We didn't do that. We wanted to be spontaneous. We want members of the audience, whom we all know so well. If you have thought very carefully about what Maharaj has been speaking about, then I invite you now to start the ball rolling. Because hearing from Sadhu is important, but asking questions from Sadhu is equally important. So who would like to go first? Okay, we have one already. Yes. Thank you. Please, you can state your name, introduce yourself, and then you can ask Maharaj the question.
My name is Dharmesh Malhotra. I work with Cisco Systems. My question is, you had two paths in life, right? You could have gone the med path, you could have gone the sannyasi path.
Yeah.
You chose the sannyasi path.
Yeah.
Is there anything you missed looking back by choosing this path? Anything you thought, you carry on the journey, you had two paths, anything you feel still misses from your perspective?
Sorry, I'll just let me.
I've thought about what your question is many times. It's a characteristic of a person, according to Bhagavat Gita or the scripture. Introspection is an essential part of both goodness. So I've asked that question of myself many times, but I have been asked the question. This is the first time I've been asked the question. The short answer is no, because the psychophysical aspect of my covering, the package that this body and mind are made up of, has been fully utilized. It would have been underutilized had I taken the other path. And what to speak of the mission of life being missed altogether. So because the mission of life is the same Gona Dharma comment, because my cycle, the modes of nature that move in me, the whatever modicum capacity of intellect that moves in me, it's been sharpened and nourished and strengthened and satisfied. The picture would have been different for sure. But in retrospect, it's been more complete. And then on the spiritual side, similarly more complete. I'll ask another question. I'll share with you another question I've asked myself many times. Before I came to Krishna Bhakti, I was doing something else. And by that something else that I was doing, have I become a traitor to that something, that tradition that I was part of? In the Bible, Judas Iscariot, he denied Christ. So I went through that existential dilemma at one point. And the answer that was like, I was upside down and shaken by my heels. And the answer is no. I become a better version of the spiritual aspirations because I'm doing what those spiritual teachings taught better than I was before. Far better than I was before. So on the material and the spiritual side, no regrets and nothing has been absent. It's been more rich and more full. But that's my autobiography. Somebody else's can be their own. But that's personal questions or my personal response.
Yes, Manish.
I can speak loudly, I guess. I don't need that. That's fine. Pranam Prabhuji. My question is, I guess, where you are in a situation to bless us, that was because of that lack of conviction. That's what we understand. In my situation, while I would believe that I would have conviction, I would not have the courage to do what you have done. How do we move from not having that conviction to having that courage?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question, because you wouldn't be standing up and speaking so strongly if you didn't have conviction. This is I don't know you, but my assessment is you wouldn't expose yourself in an audience like this in the way you just did if there is something inside you that's very strong. Now, how are you going to get, what path you're going to take to get to the same place that I'm going? Let's go together. The path is going to look different. That's okay. So how to let go has everything to do with accepting. It's right in Bhagavat Gita. And so you know Bhagavat Gita, so it may take you longer, may take me shorter. That's okay. We're not in a race. I win, you lose, kind of a race. That's not the kind of program we're on. Yours is going to be what it is, and mine's going to be what it is, and everyone else is going to be what theirs, and that's okay. My recommendation to you is not courage, but stay fixed on the purpose. Make sure you have the GPS message entered properly, and you'll get there. And then comes the subset. You know, how do I not accept things that are unwholesome and detrimental to that destination? That's the letting go part. But it's not courage. It's how strong is your conviction that the goal is really what I want. It's who I am. That's this know who you are. And so my sense, just to say it again, you have a sense. And it may take a little bit longer. That's okay. That's self-honesty. Your self-honesty is what it is. Fantastic. Stay with who you really are and make steps to reach where you want to go. So that takes courage, yes. But to not do it, from just this, you're standing the way that you're standing and speaking the way you're speaking, you got it. Keep going. And then sadhu sangha. Here's a nice teaching. A nice teaching is Lord Chaitanya speaking to Sanatana Goswami, who was a sannyasi. Previously, he was Prime Minister of half of India during the Nawab Hussain Shah's government. He left it to become devoted to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, then it's explaining the bhakti process, saying the beginning of bhakti is sadhu sangha, gives verses to embellish it. Even at the topmost stage, sadhu sangha is essential. So for you, for me, for every one of us, sadhu sangha is essential. You keep going so that conviction doesn't get cold. It stays vital and vibrant, and keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Keep your GPS focused, keep the sadhu sangha going, and be ready to let go of things that, as they're let goable, you let go. They're going to be taken from you anyways. Let go of the attachment to those somethings. You have to let go of the somethings. Let go of the attachment to those somethings and keep going towards the goal. That's courage, but that's also spiritual progress in any stage of life. My guess is you and I have both been doing this for more than one lifetime. That's my guess. And so you are where you are in this lifetime, and you're asking the same question, that you're asking probably in previous lifetimes. How do I get the courage to keep this sadhu sangha? Sharpen your focus on what the purpose of life is. That's the know yourself question. Here's a little Prabhupada story. New York Post, radio interview, Swamiji's to Prabhupada. You come to this country carrying a message. Could you share with us, what is the purpose of life? Swamiji, to know yourself. Pause. Reporter, to know yourself. To know yourself. And to unpack that, and that's all of what we're speaking about. We're part of something. We are part of something that's much greater than the worldly stuff that we're involved in. So you do the worldly stuff because psychophysical nature says you got to do this stuff. I got to be responsible. I have duties and I have and fill in the blanks. But that's not who you are. You're responsible, and that's not who you are. Those things are not who you are. They're going to be taken from you. Then keep going. So courage is the GPS, sadhu sangha, and take little steps. Keep going. Keep going. You'll get there. I'll be your cheerleader.
Thank you, Manish. Okay, maybe the lady over here. Yeah. Do we have a mic?
Technician for the mic.
Okay.
Yeah. My question is, when you're troubled or when you have any unanswered question, who do you turn to? Your Guru, Srila Prabhupada or Lord Krishna? Come to your mind.
Well, I can't separate the two, sorry. I mean,
So when you think of Lord Krishna, do you think of him in the form of your Guru?
I can't separate them. I'm just, they're not in compartments, and I go to this compartment or that compartment. I would say, honestly, because of the extent of time and the depth of involvement, both time and space involvement, it's a little spontaneous. So it's not always this, or always that, or more this, or more that. It depends on circumstance. Depends on what the subject matter I've been hearing of late. It has a significant importance on where my mind goes when there's an unanswered question, which is your question. But I can say this, every day, for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours plus, I'm hearing recorded lectures or room conversations or morning walk. I'm hearing Prabhupada's voice. So that it's not out there, it's in here. And so I can access, it just happens, so you can access, but when Prabhupada gives this message, it details and details, but he's giving Krishna. He's helping the audience, his followers, to let go and accept. Let go of illusion and accept reality and accept what our place of real shelter is. So in that sense, the thought goes to Prabhupada, but the message of Prabhupada to me is, here's Krishna. Here's a little scripture. So Balaram, from here, I'm going to be going to Udupi. And we're going to conduct a yatra with 500 people, etc. One of the places is, one of the temples that Madhvacharya established was a Balaram temple. We're going to be speaking about Balaram at the Balaram temple, naturally. He is Swayam Prakash. He's an expansion of Krishna, that Prakash, he reveals Krishna. And Guru is receiving Shakti from Balaram, or the Guru is a representative of Balaram, who Prakash reveals Krishna. Balaram Prakash, or Swayam Prakash, Swayam Prakash. So I don't separate one who reveals Krishna and Krishna. I mean, spontaneously, thoughts may go more to this person or to that person, but they're inseparable. How's that? It's resting upon hearing, sound vibration, So thoughts go to sound vibration, but Krishna is at the center. And the one who is revealing Krishna is Guru.
The young gentleman over here. Maharaj, should I just?
Okay, give him the mic.
Okay, come.
Good evening. I'm Pratham Gupta and I have a question.
Okay.
So, if you wouldn't become a sannyasi, would you feel sad about it in your life?
What's the question?
Regrets. If you were not a sannyasi. Are you saying if he did not become a sannyasi?
Yeah, then.
If I didn't become a sannyasi, what would happen?
Would you have been sad?
Would I have been what?
Sad.
Would I have been sad?
Yes.
I think I would have been happy. Because happiness is not the ashram. Happiness is the focus. No, I accepted sannyas. This is me. I accepted sannyas because it fits me. I think I'd be a crummy householder. I think I'm much better situated as a sannyasi. But would I have been sad? I think I would have been, just living my life differently in a different ashram, because responsibility is part of me, as is part of all of you. And so I would have been responsible for the duties that I had accepted. It's like all of you are doing. But I don't think it would have been sad. I may have been, like this first question, I may have been uncertain, but did I make the right decision to get involved or to stay a little more detached? But I wouldn't have been sad. Okay. Another one, okay.
So, was there any situation in which you after thinking over that situation, you decided that you would become a sannyasi?
What's the situation?
Oh, yeah. See, I was this young man that was so absorbed in service. I didn't know anything about the organization. I didn't know anything about the upper levels of the organizational structure. I didn't know anything about it. And one day, my GBC came back from the GBC meeting and said, guess what? You've been approved to take sannyas. I didn't know that there was a procedure, and my name had been discussed for several years to pass through some filters, and now I was approved to take sannyas. And I said, why? And he said, well, they can increase your preaching. And I said, I got more preaching to do than I have time for anyway, so I no thank you. He was surprised. In fact, for those in the audience, he said, now I understand, you're attached. Like, I didn't know what he meant by that. Later I understood. I'm leaving the door open to become married. Without taking the vows of sannyas, and the door's open. You're attached. So about a year passed and people were saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Because I had seen, excuse me for being so blunt, but I had seen persons ambitious for the position and title. And I thought it was yucky. They wanted the recognition of, oh, he's taking sannyas. I thought it didn't smell good. So I was reluctant. But then so many people said, so, all right. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Okay, let's have one more question.
So, Swamiji, thank you.
Hello, Swamiji, and everyone here. Thank you for being here tonight. I feel very excited being here. I've never had the opportunity to be in this kind of beautiful gathering. I think I'm the only North Indian here. I'm from Mexico, so not too far from your homeland. And yeah, so my question is about a memory you shared in the 1960s when you were supposed to fill up an envelope asking, what are your convictions that don't allow you to come and fight the war, the Vietnam War, for the US? So at the time you said you were blank. You were like, okay, I can answer exams, but this question about who I am and my convictions, at that point, in the 1960s, you weren't able to answer. But now, if you have that question again in a paragraph, would you like to share with us?
Okay. I'll respond by what I thought I was going to be asked to do earlier on the happiness question. And connect with what I want to do next. What I want to do next is share something about Father Purnima and Srimad Bhagavatam. So some of you may already know Srimad Bhagavatam, some of you may have an idea, that's about it. So there's a verse in Canto 1 Srimad Bhagavatam, it goes like this. This is my conviction. Devaitam samparo dharmo, Yito bhaktir adhoksaje, ahaitakiya pratyata, yayama, su prasidati. Prasidati means happy, and su prasidati means very happy. Well, my conviction in life is real happiness can be achieved by bhakti adhoksaja, devotional service to the Supreme. Adhoksaja is a nice word. It means he who is beyond the senses. Interesting. Bhakti means to engage the senses in service to what is beyond the senses. Sounds very mystical. Serve the master of the senses, Rishikesh, or one who is not, who cannot be perceived by the senses through the senses. That takes faith. And then the first line, Para Dharma. Dharma is a lot like this word Artha. Many people engage in Dharma or religious activity because it will gain them piety. And piety, this prosperity of piety is Artha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. You've heard that before? Oh, okay, good. Many people do Dharma to get Artha so they can have Kama, sense enjoyment, and then sometime later Moksha. But Paradharma doesn't start, it's not that in the middle, and it's not that in the end. Paradharma is, it means purposely cultivating. So my conviction is to purposely cultivate Paradharma unto whom? Adhoksaja, which is mystical. You use your senses to serve people you can't perceive with your senses, but you can perceive in another way. How can you perceive in another way? You can perceive through sound vibration. And this primary sound vibration is Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you do that, gaining Atma at the soul level is suprasad. That's my conviction. One nice verse that ends with our theme. And can I do the next part?
Yes, you can. At this point, Maharaj is going to present to us a very important topic, like he said, Bhadra Purnima. I'm going to hold off questions for now. And if you do have questions for Maharaj, he's going to be here for the next few days, and he's going to be here just after the program also. It would be nice for you to introduce yourself. And if you do want an opportunity to spend time with him, I think we can make arrangements for that, right? Maharaj, over to you.
Okay. As soon as the projector gets buzzed, you're going to see a slide that shows Bhadra Purnima. As you know, Balaram appears in the previous Purnima. Sharad Purnima is Balaram's appearance day. And after Sharad Purnima comes the Astami, Radhastami. And then comes Ekadasi, and that's when Vamana appears on Ekadasi. And then shortly after that is Vajra Purnima. So there's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's 12 cantos, 18,000 verses, and 355 chapters. 12th canto is the last canto. Chapter 13 is the last chapter of the 12th canto. And it speaks of Srimad Bhagavatam as the Puranam Amalam. Purana means history. Excuse me, that's not Purana. Yeah, Purana means history, a certain type of history. And Amala means without contamination, or Mala. Amala means without the modes of nature. Allow me to be a sannyasi for a few minutes and just speak some scriptural messages. There's 18 principal Puranas and 10 Upa Puranas, lesser Puranas. These 18 principal Puranas are divided into divisions of 6, 6, and 6, corresponding to those persons who were influenced by ignorance, passion, and goodness. Srimad Bhagavatam is the category of those in the goodness, but amongst the 6 in the mode of goodness, it is Amala. It's Vishuddha Sattva, goodness. In the categories of Srimad Bhagavatam, thus, Puranam Amalam. Here's a verse from the same chapter, chapter 13 of the 12th canto, focuses on the book itself, or the sound vibration within the book. It makes this benediction, blessing. If on the full moon day in the month of Bhadra, that's today, September 29 this year, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So you may know this already, but all over the world, in all corners of, including in China, they just now have Srimad Bhagavatam available in print in Chinese translation. There's BBT in China, and it has an ISBN, and they just made a reprint of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Yay! But any other language. And this is another verse, Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Puranam. This is taken from a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam by a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His name is down here, Srinath Chakravarti Thakur. The name for his commentary and his commentary. And here is 2 lines, Ram Kachit, Upasana Brajavitu Vargedava Kalpita. This is often spoken of in relation to Radhastami, which comes just before this coming Purnima, where Lord Chaitanya's teaching and the Srimad Bhagavatam's teaching is the ways of worship of the son of the king of Brajadam, or Krishna, may be various, but the one which was conceived by the circle of the damsels of Brajadam, Brajavidhu, Upasana, Brajavidhu, Vargena, is unsurpassable by any other devotee. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam is the unalloyed guidance for this purpose in approaching the purpose of approaching the worshipful Lord. So, 2 references. The second one is more complete, but it's saying that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana. Amongst various scriptures, here's a statement from Padma Purana and Srimad Bhagavatam, almost verbatim in both texts. All other religious scriptures remain respected in the assembly of learned people, as long as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is filled with nectar, does not enter their assembly. As soon as Srimad Bhagavatam comes to their hands, other spiritual scriptures become faded. There's the golden throne. And this is very nice. I like this one. Matsya Purana. So these are other Sattvic Puranas, Padma Purana, Matsya Purana, Kurma Purana, etc. These are mode of goodness Puranas, speaking specifically about Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein the supreme Dharma, that's this para Dharma message again, is elaborated upon on the foundation of Gayatri, and where the killing of Ritrasura demon is mentioned, is known by the name Srimad Bhagavatam. In other words, the other Puranas don't include this Ritrasura story. Only the Srimad Bhagavatam has this Parashara story, Ritrasura story. And it's a commentary or elaboration upon Gayatri Mantra. One who on the full moon day gives away in charity Srimad Bhagavatam, establishing it on a golden throne, will attain the highest destination. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of 18,000 verses. Garuda Purana, Matsya Purana is saying the same. Here's Garuda Purana, this is the one. The meaning of the Vedanta Sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there, and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Vyasadeva, 12 cantos, 335 chapters, 18,000 verses. In case you wonder about which ones it's speaking about, because there may be some confusion. In short, Srimad Bhagavatam is very special. And I'm tempted to just pause here because I'll go ahead. There's some words from our acharyas. I'll do this quickly. Here's something from Srila Prabhupada in his purport to Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture for all the devotees of Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees also, because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source representing the Lord by the cyclic succession. Few more. This is Bhakti Siddhanta, Prabhupada's spiritual master. This is a little book. There's devotees put together, know their book like the Bhagavat, but he writes, even if all the books of the world were to be burned, there would be no harm. But I did one treatise with Srimad Bhagavatam. He's putting together a very high position. Even if thousands of learning centers were to be abolished, there will be no feeling of inconvenience, provided the reading and teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam continues. He was a member of the Bhagavatam as well. And from his Sri Chaitanya's teachings, there are no other books in the world like Srimad Bhagavatam. This is not mere tiffle-tattle. His English was interesting. Or an exaggerated homage. It's called ARTHA. ARTHA, this is the ARTHA form. ARTHA, Vada, means a doctrine of Vada, of an exaggerated glorification. Not an exaggerated glorification. We'll see this again shortly. If one reflects on it in a truly impartial judge, one will realize that there has not been, nor will there ever be a book like the Bhagavatam. And this is Bhakti Vinod Thakur, his father, who wrote 100 books. Try writing a book. 100 books. And Bhagavatam and Bhakti Vinod, this is sayings of his. From Pranava, or Om, came Gayatri. From Gayatri came the Vedas. From the Vedas came the Brahma Sutra. And from the Brahma Sutra came the Srimad Bhagavatam. which has brightly risen like a Satchit Ananda sun. Those who have eyes should see, those who have ears should hear, and those who have minds should meditate on the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is an introduction to one of his 100 books. And there's more. This is a painting, an illustration of Sanatana Goswami. Amongst the followers of Lord Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami was the elder. He was born in a Saraswat Brahmin family as a young man. He had a dream. In his dream, some unknown young Brahmin came to him in his dream and gave him a gift of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he woke up. Next morning, same Brahmin came and gave him the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so when he obtained that, Sanatana Goswami became ecstatic, emerged into an ocean of prema. After this incident took place, Sanatana Goswami began reading Srimad Bhagavatam later, daily, from boy. How old are you? 10? 11, excuse me. 11. So maybe someone can give you Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, you haven't had a dream about it yet, but if you have a dream about it, someone gives you a Srimad Bhagavatam, even without the dream, someone gives you a gift of Srimad Bhagavatam. You can be a follower of Sanatana Goswami. Later, Sanatana Goswami received association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave him a thorough explanation of the entire range of Srimad Bhagavatam for several months. And from that, he made commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam and wrote a book about commentary on Bhagavatam, Brihad Bhagavatam, which is the book that's 3 volumes this thick each. So there's power in that sound vibration, in short. Last, after Krishna departed, well, before Krishna departed, he told his chariot driver, whose name was Daruka. He was at Pravas. Go quickly back to Dwarka, inform them that the entire city of Dwarka is going to sink into the ocean in a few days. They should all vacate with all the possessions and everybody and everything that is not going to be there long. Quickly go and inform them. So they vacated and Dwarka sank into the ocean. Now there's the queens of Dwarka without a protector. Krishna was their protector. Arjuna was assigned to escort the queens all the way back from Dwarka to Hastinapur to be placed in the care of Krishna's grandson, to Maharaj Parikshit, because Maharaj Parikshit became the next king, and Krishna's grandson, Brajana, was put in charge of Mathura. So the queens all went to Mathura to be under the care of Brajana, who was Krishna's grandson. And they were all in great distress, feeling great distress. And they noticed that one of the queens, only out of 16,108, Kalindi, was very peaceful. So they asked her, how have you become peaceful? Or what's your secret? And she said, I learned a secret from Uddhava. And Uddhava's remedy, there's a nice description, but Uddhava's remedy was, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna you'll feel his presence. So that's what they did. They had wonderful kirtan, and Uddhava began narrating passages from Srimad Bhagavatam, and they felt Krishna's presence. Time and circumstance were separating them from Krishna, but they felt close to Krishna by that network. And there's details which I'm going to skip. Here's a statement. Here's the promise of this 12th canto of Bhagavatam. Full moon day, that's today. In the month of Bhadra, that's today. Give it as a gift. You will attain the supreme destination. And is this an exaggerated praise or ARTHA? You remember this one because it's ARTHA form. So here's Uddhava. In the company of Maharaj Pariksit and Vajranath, the queen set out to find Uddhava. I told this already, so I'm going to skip this. Uddhava said, "O king, you are most fortunate." This is Maharaj Pariksit to Uddhava to Maharaj Pariksit, because they're royal family. "You are always in exclusive devotion to Krishna among all the inhabitants of Purana. These queens are without a doubt the most fortunate. Under the influence of Yoga Maya, they've forgotten themselves and are suffering from anxiety caused by separation from Krishna. Unless Krishna became visible to them, none of them will regain their proper consciousness. But Krishna has wound up his pastimes. That time is finished, and now we have entered a different age. However, listen, I will tell you another way. That's Srimad Bhagavat. So I'm going to end because of our time. And this is a Ra Srimad Bhagavatam Ra. I'm being a cheerleader for a moment to encourage you all to become familiar with Srimad Bhagavatam. I would say, Srimad Bhagavatam is right here, like you're questioning. But I've heard Bhagavatam so much, it's in my heart. And when questions I don't have answers to come up, I can search Bhagavatam that's in my heart, or the pages of Bhagavatam, or verses of Bhagavatam, and something arises. And I have a light comes into darkness. So the Srimad Bhagavatam. So somebody to say something, you're going to say something.
There are no accidents in life. Nothing is random. Everything is arranged perfectly. So it's no accident that all of you are here on Friday evening, and that evening turns out to be Bhadra Purnima. And there is this, like Maharaj beautifully described with so many references, there is this benediction one receives if one gets a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam on Bhadra Purnima. We also have Maharaj's amazing presence on this same day. So all of this confluence of low probability factors have come together, not by accident. So life is about taking opportunities and running with it. As an entrepreneur, I would say that. So please, if you would like to either get the Srimad Bhagavatam for yourself or gift it to someone, please come talk to us. The special price for today is $63 for the entire 18-book set. Normally it's $400. But if any of you want the Srimad Bhagavatam and have insufficient funds, we will work with you to get you a Srimad Bhagavatam also. So please either talk to me or one of the organizers and get a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I would like to invite Devaki to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to start by, first of all, thanking His Holiness Swamipad Maharaj. And I think we should all put our hands together. And thank him so much for having taken the time, the energy, to actually come and join us all the way from the US. He's going to be here for a few days, meeting devotees, having inspiring talks, and his full schedule is available for those of us who would like to meet him more often. Maharaj, on behalf of everyone here, we want to thank you for your time, and especially for giving us very, very important insights into the pursuit of happiness. We have heard so much about how to become happy, but very seldom do we hear about happiness from someone who has realized it. I think I would not be too far in surmising that many of us realized as we were hearing Maharaj speak about happiness, that he's indeed happy. It's one thing to speak about it from a theoretical point of view, psychological point of view, but it's another thing to speak it because you actually feel it. And today it's very obvious to all of us that here is someone, here is a sadhu who has actually experienced happiness and who can give us the clue to becoming happy if only we listen. And I want to thank the audience, of course, for having listened so attentively to all that Maharaj had to offer. And I'm very grateful that you have taken the time and the trouble to come and join us. Many of you are very familiar faces. You're almost like family to us because we meet each other in so many programs. And many of you whom I've not seen before, I welcome you today. And I hope that I'll be able to get the opportunity to welcome you for further events that we organize. I want to also thank Rajiv, known to us as Radha Giridhari Prabhu. He is the founder of ARTHA Forum. It's an amazing initiative to gather professionals, entrepreneurs, successful people in the material world to try and think, gather, and start giving something back and enhancing their own spiritual lives. ARTHA Forum is very successful, not just in Singapore, but also in Dubai, and of course in the US and India. And we welcome all of you to be part of it. And if you're curious about what you can do, then please come and see us. We're more than happy to meet you. So a very, very loud and warm applause and much gratitude to Rajiv. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the organizers today. I want to thank Prakash Govindan, who is also known as Padmanabh Prabhu. He is the co-founder of Gradient, and that's one of the most successful companies in the world when it comes to water technology. He is a graduate from MIT. He knows exactly what the world of materialism is, but he has firmly fixed himself in the world of enhancing his life and having the GPS, as Maharaj said. He has brought so much of knowledge and wisdom to the universities in Singapore, for example, where he's very active. And we are very helpful, we are very thankful and grateful that he has been here and he's still with us. Thank you very much. I want to thank Manish, who's behind us right there. He's the reason why we have the hall. He's the reason why you're going to have food after this. So you should be very grateful to him. Manish, thank you so much. And last but not least, I just want to share something with you. When I was 13 years old, my mother was walking down the street in Singapore when a lady came up to her and asked her a question out of the blue. She asked her, if you have children, she said, yes, I do. Are they interested in Hinduism? And she said, yes, they are. And she said, would you like to give them what is the true understanding and knowledge and how to practice it? And they said, yes. And my mother said, definitely. And this lady came home to my house. My mother doesn't invite people just like that. But she invited her over to the house. And the lady opened this large pamphlet and showed us this beautiful set of books. And she said, these books are the encyclopedia for understanding what is the goal of life. And she said, these books are Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was 13 years old then. And my mother got so excited. I got more excited for two things. The books looked really good. And I liked books that looked really good. I didn't read so much, but I liked the books that looked good. And the lady also gave us 10 beautiful paintings of Krishna. And the paintings got us even more excited. And then she gave us a Bhagavad Gita to go with the book and teachings of Lord Chaitanya as a throw-in as part of the package. At that time, the books were going for 1,850 Singapore dollars. And the best part of it, Maharaj, they were printed in Singapore.
That's the best part.
My parents were not well to do. And we were just living in a 2-3 room flat at that time in Toa Payoh. But my mother said to herself, and she told me this many years later, she said, this lady told her that Bhagavatam is the way to happiness. And if you give your children the right knowledge, then the walkway to happiness will be there. And that's why my mother invested a hard-earned money. $1,850 was not cheap in those days. And I went with this lady in a taxi and got these books and came back and brought them upstairs. And the lady told me just one thing. Every day after school, take a bath and just open a page of Bhagavatam and read it. Even if you understand it or you don't understand it, don't worry. Krishna will make you understand it. And this will be this will be how you will become happy. And so that began my journey with Bhagavatam. And today, all that I've learned about happiness has actually come from Srimad. And when I hear that the price of Bhagavatam today is $350, and I think, all right, this is a wonderful opportunity, not just for you to get Bhagavatam, but for your children, for your future. And if you are interested in giving Bhagavatam to those who may not be able to get them, we have such persons who we know are very happy to get Bhagavatams, but they may not even be in a privileged position to actually purchase it at this point. So many opportunities on a very auspicious day. You had the presence of an amazing monk, a sadhu, Romapal Maharaj, today with us. Today is a very auspicious day because you are now placing Bhagavatam. Because of Maharaj and because of his mercy and time spent with us today, he has allowed us to place Bhagavatam on the throne of our hearts. And I request all of you to please take this seriously. Ponder over what we spoke, what was heard about of happiness. And don't make this an academic exercise. This is not a social function. This is not a ritual. This is not a day when we come to know each other because we were just invited. This could be a day, if we wanted to change things. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for being here. And thank you to all of you for being here. Manish, I assume that dinner is the next course of action, right? So we welcome everyone to have dinner, speak with each other, spend time with each other, and please come and take darshan of Maharaj. Yes. Oh, yes. And one last point before we end. Can we invite Rajiv to give Maharaj a bouquet on behalf of all of us? Rajiv. Sure. So if anyone wants Bhagavatam, Maharaj is here. You can actually come straight and you can meet him and you can Thank you so much. You have a good evening and I hope to see you for many other programs. We conduct many house programs. We do kirtans, we speak on Bhagavatam, we speak on the Gita. If you want us to join you, we'll be very happy. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, this is for me. Thank you. Can we invite? Would you be able to invite them, Manish? Yeah, come, please come. Someone has to start. Otherwise, no one's going to move.
I will reach out.
Just